Got another video here at the shop, and behind me is a new piece of equipment for Mountain Fortress. So it's interesting. It's one of Sparks's acquisitions from when he bought a whole bunch of equipment, and I bought it from them. And it's an old gas compressor. And these things are used to run jackhammers, drills, quite a few different things. And they use these Chicago fittings. Got a little spool there. Don't know how good that hose is. While I'm trying to work here, Dave is goofing off for a video. Guess he's trying to dump wood off the back. So, back to my video here. I don't know if this thing's gonna run or not. I'm looking at it, I'm trying to guess whether or not this is probably at least a 125, probably 125, maybe a 185, but I really doubt it's a 250 as far as cubic feet per minute. And I just bought it as is. It hasn't been started or anything. And I definitely can tell it's an older model. It's gasoline, which is a bit of a setback in a way. If this was diesel, I wouldn't have got it for such a good deal, because diesel ones would be, everyone grabs those as fast as they go. People pay a lot of money for the diesel. Gas ones, don't really care too much, but I need one, and it looked pretty much complete except for a couple things. One, apparently the on and off switch is missing, and then coming back around, notice that someone has taken all the wires to the battery, and they've actually cut it right here. You can see the end of the cable. It's sort of weird that this is cut like that. Don't know why they left that. So, and then here's where the ground wire was connected. But it's pretty simple. I just need to buy a couple wires, and then the battery's right here. Looks like it's all 12 volt. Pretty simple. I can then re-hook up basically this one right here. This wire looks like that will go to the battery. I'm not really sure what this one is going to. It's a small one. This one's all screwed in, so it looks like this is probably goes down to this other connection right there. So before I can even run the starter to even see anything, I have got to redo the wiring right here. And I'm really hoping that other than that, they have not pulled anything else off. Everything else seems to be there. Unfortunately, with the screen in the way, I can't grab it to see if I can turn the shaft or the crank for the engine. So the big issue is, did I just pay for money for something that's not going to work? Or is it going to be a good running machine, and I can finally have a compressor back on top of the mountain so I can run my jackhammers and drills? But at this moment, after the fire had burned my my compressor, I haven't had one of these big ones to replace it yet. There is a diesel one that I do have in my yard, but I know that there is an issue with it, and I would require taking quite a bit apart to see what the diesel one needs. So hopefully my risk, it's okay. I didn't pay much for it, but hopefully this thing will run. After looking at it for a little bit, I figured I'm here at the shop. We have a pressure washer. We gotta clean this thing up. Looking in some of these bins, they're all grody. That's the battery area. It's not too bad. I mean, but I can get off a bunch of the grease and everything around in here. So I figured I will simply do a little bit of pressure washing. It's so nice to work on a piece of equipment if it's clean. So I'm gonna have to first scoop out some of the garbage that's in here, and then I will bring the pressure washer over. Well, there's so much dirt in the boxes with tiny holes for the water out. I try to pressure wash it, it'd just be a bunch of mud in there. So I've been scraping, and then I'm going to be using the vacuum here to get out most of it, and then I can pressure wash it. Well, the GoPro doesn't show it, but it's getting dark. I just finished like pressure washing as much as I can, and it's getting dark, and we'll continue this up tomorrow when I start making up the fixing some of the wiring harnesses to the battery and the starter. So, well, we got to clean up, and then we'll see you tomorrow. A new day, but sort of a rainy new day. I'm gonna start hooking up the wiring for the battery. I got a couple grommets. This is where the lines go through. So I got to get these put in, and then I've got a crimping tool and some of the wire to make the exact length I want to make for this. Now, get these things in first. When I go and make the battery wires, if I buy them and not get them prefab, put them this soldering flux on it first, and then I crimp it on. Here, I've got to grab my crimping tool. Actually, it's a little bit easier to get this on the crimping tool like this. I'm trying to get it just on enough to hold itself. Right there. And I will stick my wire right in there. This is a really nice tool. That doesn't work very good if I slide back out. Yeah, there. So what it works is by putting that flux in first, it got it all inside. Now, just going to solder it in. And I like to hold it. This is be the best way to hold it. Be just like right like that. Try not to hit my solder, but there you go. So that's one connection. This is a connection that will go down on the back of the starter there. And I guess that provides my main power. This is supposed to connect there. I believe that's a ground. They cut the ground like there as I showed last time, so I have to make cable connection to there. So let me gonna connect this up now there and then measure out the rest. I'm here trying to get the wires. Got one, but I'm trying to work, and now I'm getting coated in liquid sunshine. I gotta run and grab another nut, but I may have to stop here for a moment till the rain goes by. Well, got the wires on in here. I got one end on here, but I didn't get the end on here. It's coming down. I am quite literally soaking wet and cold. So we're gonna have to hold off on this, and you know, hopefully tomorrow I can continue on it. Woo! I'm back, and even though it's the next day, it's still sort of a cold and rainy sort of day. But I did finish this wire and hooked up this battery, and I only use these 31s with threaded studs. On all my equipment, I use these batteries. I mean, the only time I don't use those is if they don't like fit in my car. If my car had space for it, I would fit it in too. They're like the best batteries. And I can get refurbished ones for about $70. For $140, you buy a new one. And they are way better than like regular car batteries. So I hooked it up, and I noticed that I'm missing the thing called an engine switch. There's just two wires dangling back there, but I also have a starter. So I just, for the heck of it, I decided to turn and see what happens if I push the starter button. Well, there's a good sign. It means my engine is not seized, but I'm thinking with that switch disconnected, I don't know if I have to connect the two wires to keep it running. And I've got like these two wires. These are only two wires I see that are just have no ends. So I'm wondering if they have to be together to get a spark or not. So I'm going to have to get a switch, but I think I'll just basically strip a little bit of the insulation off and hook them together and then see what happens. Coming to this other side, I realize this is a filter coming from the fuel tank, which is right there, and there's a way to fill it on the other side. The filler is really weird, but before I just start pumping, I don't know what's down in that tank down there. I want to look at this filter, take this off, and then maybe see what's going on, if it's really yucky or whatever. I don't want to suck it in. At least we got this filter here. Well, that's not too bad. If I had the filter before that, it won't be too bad. But I think I'll unscrew this and take a look and see what it looks like. Make sure it's just not yucky. Well, it really looks clean. And the hoses aren't in bad shape. So I think somebody has swapped this out not too recently. Well, a little bit recently. But anyway, I think it's going to be good. But I might just connect one side up and wondering whether or not I ought to put fuel in the main tank or put a little separate gas tank here. I think I'll probably put a little separate gas tank. So I'll keep this disconnected, put this side back in, get me some more hose, which I'm gonna have to run down and grab some hose, and then see if we can get fuel going to the carburetor. Hopefully the carburetor won't be all gummed up. So, all right, gotta grab some hose. Well, here's my little setup. Got a little bit of gasoline. There's the pump. And then I'm going to come around here. And here's where it goes to the carburetor. Just in case there's any gunk in that line. I don't think the engine will turn on because I'm missing the switch right there. And while I'm doing this, I just dumped my tools down, but I grabbed it. So let me just crank it a little bit and see if we get some fuel coming out. I can hear there. Whoa. Well, that was interesting. Good. Ooh, that smells really bad. Well, I'm sure glad that we didn't spark, because it was shooting fuel right there to the exhaust. But we got fuel there, so I'm going to put my finger on it. I can't do it with a camera. I'm going to pump it a little bit more, make sure I get all that gunk out, and then I'll reconnect it. Well, I hooked those two wires together, and here I've reconnected this. Oh, I think I'm going to disconnect that, and then I'm going to connect the battery first. I'm going to connect the battery first because I want to make sure that makes a spark or whatever. I don't burn up the wiring harness. Got the fuel connected to the carburetor. So I just need to put the battery back on, and let's see if we can start this up. All right. Now this choke cable is a little bit loose, but I put it full choke. I've got that thing, the fuel line reconnected. Got that one wire hooked up. So let's see if this thing will fire. Wow, that was nice, but if you just could see there, the carburetor filled up with fuel. So the carburetor, I'm gonna probably have to take it off because it looks like the float bowl might be stuck. I could try tapping on it and hopefully it'll re-stick, but I'm gonna take the choke off. And gotta redo my wire. Sometimes if you put some of that fresh fuel in it, it may take a day and then it starts working. I tapped on it. Nope, where it's pumping just fuel out. So I'm going to disconnect this, just see if it'll, no, I just need to pull that carburetor off. Just chances are I'm gonna have to do it anyway. Might as well do it now. But what's nice is the engine fired, and I could hear the compressor building up air, and it was just barely moving. So things are looking good on this one here. So all right, so it's remove the carburetor. I've pushed off the air intake, got the choke off. Then I'll need to disconnect this fuel line, unplug this thing, whatever it is. I've never seen a little electric thing on the bottom like that. And then, well, like 2 bolts in a really tough area to get to. Huh, very interesting. Might have to take this off just to get to that back bolt up there. All right, I'll do that. Well, there she is. The heart of it right there. Pulled it right out. Wasn't too difficult. There wasn't much space for the nuts. So I'm gonna have to open it up and just clean it up. It doesn't look bad. I mean, I'm just gonna take it in the shop and open it up. Since we have a washer, a solvent washer, I figure I might as well clean it up first, and before I take it apart, because it's a little bit gunk on it. So I'll clean that up when I'm done, and we'll go over to the table. Now I'm gonna start to take it apart. I got 4 screws. I want to be really careful when I take it apart that I don't destroy the gasket that's in here. It's gonna be hard. I don't know if it's been for a while. It may not come apart in one piece, but I hope to get it apart so I can reuse it. I don't have any other parts here. Plus, I gotta watch out for springs popping out, ball bearings falling out. You never know what's inside these. I've done quite a few of the carburetors that are on the old 70s Dodges, and I can pull those apart and throw them back together real quick. Well, the last screw is always the hardest. Well, it's already coming apart, which is a good sign, meaning hopefully looks like maybe, okay, yeah, this is a problem. Somebody didn't get this thing all put back together correctly. Gasket got pulled out. Well, one little section tore right there, which is a little bit of a problem. But here is the float bowl section. It's pretty clean in there, and it is completely and totally stuck. Yep, so it's stuck in the open position. I gotta grab me little pliers and open it up and take that out. Otherwise, this thing looks pretty good, except for we do have some issues with the gasket being somewhat damaged in spots, but probably not damaged enough to not work. All right, we have found the little culprit. This guy was stuck, and I managed to get it out there in the pieces. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna clean that up, clean up whatever I have. I mean, it really does not look bad. There's just like a little bit of material at the bottom, but I am going to clean it up, make sure that this is working, put it back together, and we'll put it back on and see if we can get this compressor to run. I don't like to use gasket making material, but right here, this is runs a channel, that channel right there for the airflow, and this thing may not run well with that open right there because the gasket was pushed in. So I will later on, I will look up this machine and try to order a complete rebuild kit. But until I can do that, I'm hoping that this will work here. Everything seems to be fine. I cleared over the all the ports and the jets and everything. Everything seems to be moving just great. I checked my float bowl control is working fine. So I'm gonna now bolt it back together and then take it outside. I just noticed one thing. There's a hole right there. I'm pretty much thinking there's supposed to be a plug there, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. So that means I have like an air leak right there, right in front of the carburetor. Not a big issue, but that could use a plug. They may have done that because they had issues because of the fuel overflowing, but I don't know. Well, I will find me a plug to plug that hole up. And I've got all that taken care of because it was leaking right there initially. So I've got this thing all put together. Now I just got to install it. And I'm not sure if I can install it. I'm going to go outside and see if it's dark or not. I'm outside and it is getting dark. I found this. I was going to put a plug, but I have this. It's to connect a micro hose, but it has a very, very tiny orifice. And I figured I would use that instead of a plug. So just in case if it overflows, it'll drain out. You can put a little tube at the end and dangle down. But since it is after the choke, but before the throttle, I should just be fine, because if it was after the throttle, then we'd have a real big issue. And it's right there where the venturi is. So I'm thinking a really teeny tiny little hole shouldn't make a difference, but also keep it from filling up with fuel should the float bowl get stuck. So I am just going to sort of stick it up on here, but it's getting really, really dark. And I'm going to call it the day, and then we'll work on it tomorrow. We have a new day. It's sunny. Look at that sun. And so last night it was dark and rainy. I rebuilt the carburetor. I want to see if this thing will start now, because I just didn't want to have to try to start it when it was dark. So let's go around this side here. I got to remember, I got to connect those two wires right there. Okay, my wire's connected. Well, I think that's the best money that I've spent recently. That works really good. This baby runs so good on my little plastic tank. I now connected the main tank and put some fuel in it. However, I have the tank connected to the fuel pump, but then just open. So I want to make sure whatever's in that fuel tank comes out is nice and clean. Otherwise, I'm not letting it go to the carburetor. So I've got Chris here.
Hey.
He's gonna be pushing the button for me while I keep the rag here so it don't spurt fuel into the high voltage arcing of the spark plugs. All right, let's go. Let's try it. That's it. Well, it's looking good. The fuel is clean. There's no dirt, no nothing. It's a little yellowy, but a little yellow's fine.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get some more fuel, make sure, I think I might have enough here. And then I'll start it with the tank fuel. I just gotta get this line on right here. So I got it on. Now I don't have the on and off switch, it's just hooking the wires together, but we got the tank connected up. I've got a whole army of people watching.
We're just we're just learning from him, right?
Yeah.
Watching and slash talking.
And then Chris. And now we're gonna see if it'll all run on its own with no extra tank or anything. So we're gonna. Wow. Sweet. That's nice. What do you guys think? You think I got a good deal?
Oh yeah, 500 bucks.
Yeah.
Now you can rent it back to the company for sandblasting.
Don't tell them that. I mean, it worked out. I mean, well, I already got the bill of sale, so it's good. It's good. All right, everyone. Well, that's the end of this video. It's great. This thing's going to go to the top of the fortress so I can run the jackhammers and the rotary drills so we can have some more interesting stuff going on there. So thanks, everyone, and please subscribe and like it if you like it, and hit the notifications. And as I always say, see you on the next video.